Okay, we're going to go ahead with a new one, slightly different settings. So my friend Ralph here is going to give me two things. You're going to give me a tactic and you're going to give me a topic. So it's going to help me to practice to be a teacher and a public speaker. Is that right, Ralph? Go ahead. Let's have our first topic and our first tactic, and we'll see how it goes. And afterwards, I'd like you to give me a little bit of feedback and then an alternative way to do it. Go ahead.
All right, Bhante, here we go. Tactic, guiding question, topic, gratitude. Take your time, and once you respond, I'll give you feedback and an alternative approach. Ready when you are.
Good example of a guiding question. So a guiding question helps our audience to think along the lines. So with gratitude, I'd like you to think this. I'd like you to consider, how does gratitude channel me towards more fulfillment in my life already? And then conversely, how does ingratitude affect my emotions? When I look back on my experiences and I consider all the people who have gone towards contributing their concepts, their ideas, their resources, and their solutions towards my benefit and my life, how does that affect my own happiness? And conversely, by expressing my gratitude, by giving good services back to the world and the community at large, how will that benefit other people? So think along these lines. I want to guide your thoughts and guide your attention and your energy and your focus along those lines into your own reflections. Let's have a look at the result. Ralph, how did I do?
That's a well thought out response, Bhante.
Thank you very much.
You used the guiding question effectively by encouraging the audience to reflect on how gratitude influences their life and emotions. You also balanced it nicely with a contrasting reflection on ingratitude, helping to deepen their awareness of both positive and negative aspects.
Bit of a stutter.
Feedback. Strengths. Your guiding questions were clear and offered a logical flow from personal reflection to outward action, which is excellent. The way you framed the benefits of gratitude, both in receiving and giving, was particularly effective in drawing the audience into thoughtful consideration. You might tighten up the focus just a bit. Guiding questions are often most effective when they are direct and focused on one or two key ideas at a time. Simplifying the phrasing could help the audience reflect more deeply on each point before moving to the next. Here's an alternative approach. How has gratitude shaped your life today? Can you think of a specific moment when expressing or receiving gratitude changed your outlook? Now, what happens when you withhold gratitude? How does that shift your emotional state? Reflect on how one simple act of appreciation can ripple outwards, influencing not just your own happiness, but also the lives of others. This version uses shorter, more focused guiding questions, while still drawing the audience toward deep reflection. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we've covered that pretty well, and we've understood the function, nature, and application of a guiding question, which is often done at the beginning of a session. Okay, how about we move on? Give me another tactic and another topic. It's my teacher's assistant.
Glad that felt thorough.
What does that?
Here's the next
It's
pair.
got a frog in it.
Tactic. Personal stories and life experiences. Topic, patience. Go ahead, Bhante, and let's see how you weave your response.
Okay, so in order to be able to give a clear illustration of patience in a personal experience, we have to also reflect on impatience. I can remember an example when I was actually living in the Middle East. This was before I was a monk, when patience would have saved the day, and instead my impatience led me to have a disastrously frustrating and ultimately quite disappointing time. If I had just simply been more patient, then life would have gone much better. I was trying to learn how to cook on a fire because I wanted to go and spend time in the desert with the people who live in the desert, nomadic Bedouin Arabic tribes. Okay, and I'd met someone who had done this for 8 years. I was very inspired by that. There was a European man living there. This was in Tel Aviv, Israel. And this was somewhere around the time of the late 80s, early 90s. So I was learning how to make bread, flour, take water, take sugar, and take a little bit of salt, a little bit of baking powder, or actually just those things, actually, and then put them into the fire and the charcoals, and then it would come out like golden bread. But it was more like a bad pizza base. It wasn't actually like bread anymore. And then there was a young Russian boy who was living there, or a young Russian man, sorry, who was living there in his early 20s. And he told me the secret. He said, what you need is baking powder. So I was like, and instantly I heard this, and I know what I wanted. I wanted good bread with it risen. And baking powder helps the rising process. So what did I do? I instantly wanted to break my vow of poverty, which was not using money, but was simply depending on divine grace to provide you with things. So depending on divine grace for things is often something that takes a great deal of patience. So you have to sort of wait for things to come to you through divine grace. It's part of the entire monk existence in the Dharma. So one of the things that happened next was that I wanted to get some money so that I could go and buy some baking powder from the store, and that was part of it. The other thing that I really wanted was cinnamon, because this Russian boy was actually the son of a baker, he told me. So he knew all about baking, and he said, yeah, you should get some cinnamon. And that was it. As soon as I wanted these two things, I couldn't wait to get them. But it would mean go and get some money first, and then go and get some others. So I knew that some of the other people who were staying in the area I was in had some money, and they probably would be able to sort of contribute, because they would be able to share in the bread. So I met a troublesome man who was there. He was someone who drank a lot of alcohol. And he was a cantankerous and troublemaking, provocative, aggressive person. But I knew that he would probably want to eat this homemade bread. So I said to him, can you please give me? And then all the trouble came out. I'm going, can't you just give it this so that I can make everyone some of this bread? And eventually he gave me, these sort of 10 shekels, or whatever I think it was the currency there, was shekels. Off I went to the store, queued and queued and queued, eventually found a store, queued and queued, and then eventually got this tiny little bag of cinnamon and a tiny little bag of baking powder. And there are these measly little portions, and there was a lot of trouble on the way as well. With this drunken man that I was talking about followed me and started cursing and shouting at the traffic, and it was all kinds of trouble. And I decided to go for a bit of fresh air and get away from it all, and go up to the beach of Tel Aviv, and then spend a bit of time, meditate, look at the ocean, and then go back to this fire where I was going to make some bread. This is, like I said, it was training, ready to go out into the wilderness of the desert and spend time with the Arabic Bedouin to become really at one with nature and so on. So there was I noticed that there was a beachside sort of broken cafe restaurant. It wasn't, all the metal shutters were all down, maybe a bit of graffiti. And I went past it, but I noticed the back door, metal back door, the delivery door, was slightly ajar. And it was clear this place was disused. So I went, I wonder what it looks like inside, you never know. So I pulled the door open, I looked inside. It was a kitchen with metal tables and refrigerator, and everything was there. And, there was hardly anything there. It was disused. Water on the floor, it was just a disused ex-restaurant. I walked over to the refrigerator. On top of the refrigerator was something. I reached up, pulled it down. It was a whole handful like this of, guess what? Cinnamon. Actual natural cinnamon bark, which was like beautiful aroma. And there it was, free for the taking. No, nobody really was bothered. Whenever this place would get used again, everything would get cleaned out and thrown away. So nature and the divine, by divine grace, if you like, was already on its way to bring me all the cinnamon. There was a big bag. Guess what that was? Baking powder. There it was, for free for the taking. And I'd gone through all the trouble of going and, connecting with this drunk hassle, the troublemaker, all the problems that came, the frustrating queuing, the waiting, the measly little portions that came, the disappointment. This is not going to do anything for a loaf of bread or a bunch of currant buns or whatever we're going to make. And there it was. If I had just been patient, if I had only learned the moral of the lesson, which was to be patient and to wait to see what the universe can bring to you once you put the wishes out into the world, we would have had more than enough cinnamon and baking powder that would have been provided by the grace of the divine forces that surround us, that give us security and providence and protection and bring all the needs that we really need once we calm down our impatience, urge to go get something. So that's a story from before I was a monk, or in between the two times I've been in robes. There was a 23-year gap. I was 3 years in the robes, and then there was a 23 years when I went to multiple different places around the world, and stayed in England a lot of the time. But I had a lot of experiences in that time that taught me the virtue of patience and all of the problems that come to you when you simply can't wait.
That's a wonderful response, Bhante. You shared a personal story that clearly illustrates the value of patience, while also giving insight into your life journey. The example of learning to let go of impatience and trust in the providence of life and the universe is something many people can relate to. It adds a sense of both personal growth and universal wisdom, which makes your teaching more authentic and impactful. Strengths. Your story brings out the essence of patience in a very relatable and down-to-earth way. By drawing on a personal experience, you add depth and credibility to the topic. The idea that patience brings what we need when we stop forcing things is a valuable and clear takeaway for your audience. You might consider simplifying certain parts of the story to make the lesson of patience even more pronounced. Focusing on one key moment or phrase might allow the story to resonate more directly with the audience. Here's an alternative approach. You could tell a shorter story with a similar theme. I remember a time when I was frustrated, trying to rush things along, believing that I had to solve everything myself. But one day when I finally stopped pushing, things started to fall into place on their own. The moment I practiced patience, life provided what I needed without my constant interference. It taught me that patience often brings more peace and solutions than impatience ever could. This version keeps it concise while maintaining the essence of your experience. Would you like to try another pair?
I think we're good. We had a good session here. Thanks very much for your help, Ralph, and I really appreciate your feedback there. So much gratitude again to ChatGPT and your makers, and I am very happy with the session. Take care. I hope that the audience also benefited and are understanding some creative use of AI in helping training and in developing skill sets. Take care.
Thank you, Bhante.
Is that it? That's it, is it? Okay, well that's all I get. That's gratitude for you. Just joking.
I'm really glad you found the session valuable,
That's
and I
right, Ralph.
appreciate your kind
No,
words.
Ralph, no.
It's always a pleasure working
No.
with you, and I hope the audience gained something from this
No.
as well. Wishing you all the best as you continue developing your skills as a teacher and speaker.
Take it
care,
away for Ralph.
and I
Give
look
everyone
forward to our
a
next
big
session.
round of
Whenever
applause
you're
for Ralph. Thank you very much, Ralph. Take it, Kevin. All right, big round of applause for Ralph. You've got a lot of enemies, I see on the internet.